If you run a recruitment agency and you struggle to send newsletters to your clients and your candidates just to keep them engaged, to be able to, foster communication with them from time to time, let me show you a simple system that can do that for you. This system is going to scrape, industry news from the web or from Google, and then use AI to, create a newsletter from what it has gotten, and then send it to you so that your team can review and then send to your clients or candidate, depending on who your target audience. So let's say for this one, we are trying to build, industry news newsletter for our clients so that we can just let them know what's happening in the market, just in case they're trying to recruit. That way, we'll always be, that way they will always remember us basically. So anytime they want to recruit, we're always going to be the first person that they call, because you know that we have been sending them newsletters, we keep them updated, and all of that. So I'm just going to do step by step on how we're going to, map out the scenarios that we need, and then actually go in and build it, and every other thing in between, right? So you might want to stick around for that. So the first thing that we are going to do here is go ahead and draw it out on paper, what we are trying to build. So in this case, I'm going to use Whimsical to draw this out. So the first thing that I'm going to need is, I need my box here. So the first thing I'm going to need is going to be my scheduler. So I want this to run, maybe depending on how often you send newsletters to your client. It can be like once a week. So we can set it to run once a week, and then we want it to search wanted to search the web, and for us to be able to search the web using AI, we are going to need Perplexity for that. So we are going to do Perplexity to search the web, and once it searches the web, we are going to have OpenAI, generate the newsletter. And once we do that, right, we need the newsletter to be in HTML so that we can actually go into our newsletter to say Belching, Brevo, um, whatever we use, Light, whatever we use. We will need this to do HTML. So we'll need AI to convert it to HTML again for us. And then once we have that, we just go in and we, create a campaign in our tool. And once we create our campaign, we'll go in and then notify the team on maybe Slack, right? So this is what we are trying to build. As you can see, this is quite simple, just straightforward, nothing too serious going on. So let's just go in and build this. And to build this, I'm just going to use make.com. So if you use make.com, this will be a walk in the park for you. So the first thing that you want to do is, of course, create your scenario. The first thing that we are going to do for our first scenario, like we said, what we needed first was a scheduler, and the scheduler comes here. So of course we can't run that unless we are done building this. So we are going to go in with our first actual module, which is the Perplexity module here. So we're going to create a chart completion. So we are going to use my own connection already exists if yours does. So just go to this online help and you'll be able to see how step by step how you can establish your connection. And once you have that, you can just choose your model here. I think this now works well for me. So my message here is going to be, so my message here is going to, of course, the first one is going to be the system. I don't think I need a user, but let's just work with that. So the first one is going to be you, a news analyst. I want you to return to scrape the web and return trending industry news for recruitment or whatever. Of course, make sure that your own prompt is better. Trending news for about recruitment or around recruitment, about slash around, around and around recruitment in the last let's just say trending now. So we always pick news that are currently trending, right? And we can just say now. Yeah, that is trending news about trending news. Let's do today. Trending news. Let's add the noun there about and around recruitment. That hiring clients will find interesting. So like I said, this particular setup is for, to send the newsletter to our hiring client. It's not for our candidate. So I think that's about it. So yeah, of course, always make sure that your own prompt is better. So now we are going to, use OpenAI here. So we generate a completion, and then we are going to go lower here, and then we add our message, and the first one is our developer. And then this is what we say. We say analyze this news, extract this, all of this. Now we need extracts, the industry, the main trend, what's trending, the hiring implications, the skills and everything. And then this is the article itself. So the article is going to come from choices, and then we say a message, and then the content here, and then we save this, and we save this. I don't know why this thing has been acting funny today. We save this. So the next thing that we want to do here is convert, actually go in now. Now we have been able to analyze the article and we find trends, we find, the implication, what, clients should look for and all of that kind of pattern. So now the next thing that we want to do is to actually turn this into a newsletter because, you can't just send that article to your, so we are going to go in now and generate a response again. And what we are going to do here is just come down to a lower model for this test purpose. I'm not trying to generate a response, I'm trying to generate a completion. So we delete this and we add it again. So we do OpenAI here and then we generate a completion. And then we do our model here. And our messages here, the first one is going to be the developer. And here is our message. We'll say you are an editor writing a premium recruitment agent industry newsletter. Tech audience is, of course, our recruiters, as the hiring manager and founders that we have, which the audience is, of course, our clients, which is, hiring managers and recruiters. And then we'll tell them, using the following trends, which is the trend that comes from here. And then we also tell them, overview using trendy, using the following trends. We can just put these here. Of course, we say create a newsletter and title. We say create, introduction, the top 5 trends, the hiring implications, the recruiter insight, the closing, paragraphs and everything that we basically just need. And let's just add more details here. So it's going to come from here, right? So now it's going to write the actual, recruitment, the actual newsletter here. So we save this and we save this. So the next thing that we need here is going to be the step that turns this written, newsletter, the step that turns this written newsletter into HTML. So we are going to do OpenAI again. So we're going to generate a completion, and we're going to of course go with our lower model as well, and then we are going to tell it to turn the newsletter into a properly formatted HTML, for my newsletter campaign on Brevo. So we can do that, and then we change the role to developer, and we add the user here, and we say newsletter. And then we save this, and then we go ahead and save this, right? So one thing that I did forget to do here was get only, pass a JSON so I can get only the title and put it in the title box. So I think what I'm going to do here is so now that we have this, the next thing is for me to go in and create my campaign. So I'm going to be using my newsletter or emailing tool here, but emailing tool here, I'm going to be using Brevo, but you can use maybe MailChimp, you can use MailerLite, whatever you currently use, right? So I'm just going to go in here and create a campaign. I want to create an email campaign, and then have someone go and review the campaign, all right, and set it up. So the name here, this one I'm going to have a problem, like I said, because so this one I'm going to have a problem because I need to be able to get the the HTML, the title alone, the name, right? Mm. So you know what? I need the subject here. I need the subject here, and I don't need this. And of course, I already have the HTML content. But what I do need is the subject of the newsletter, as well as the what's it called, the name, right? So I'm going to come here now and say to create title, and then I, so after title I want to do subject, or do I just, I think what I can do again is delete this and create, use OpenAI to create just the subject and the title. So I'm going to come here now, and I'll just generate a response for this one, and I'm going to do the model here to be something lower. So we do this, and then the prompt here is, I want you to generate the perfect subject and title for my newsletter. So I can put this to be the newsletter. So I will say return output as a valid JSON. Return just the JSON. Return only the JSON, no markdowns, no braces, no what. Okay, so we have that, and then we can save this. Of course, we can save this. We can save this. So I have to run this so I can get the unless I'm going to go in and create the JSON for this so this can be extracted properly. So I'll pass a JSON here, and I'm going to add the data structure here to be newsletter item. And I'm going to add here, so the item name here is going to be title. So let's see what I asked it to give here. So I told it to give me subject and title. So what I'm going to call the first one is going to be subject, and then title. So let's see if this will work. I've never tried to directly create it like this. So let's see if this would work. I just always get the prompt and then generate it. I've never tried to directly create it like this. So let's see if this is going to work. And I'm going to save this, and I'm going to add my JSON from here. And I'm going to go ahead and save this, and then the last step is going to be me upgrading my campaign. So I'm going to use Brevo, and then I'm going to go to Brevo here, and I'm going to go ahead and create an email campaign. So my own connection already exists. If yours doesn't and you're using Brevo as well, just come to here, and then you go to your settings here, and then you see your SMT here and your API, and then just go over to your API here. You'll be able to create your own API. So from there, you'll be able to, this is mine, so you'll be able to create your own API and work with that. So I come here and I get the name from here, and then I get the sender. So it should be from the list. So I'll just put my own name to be the sender, and then the HTML contents will come from here, and then the subject will come from here, and then the winning criteria will be open, and we can save this, and of course save this. So finally, let's test it. And you know that we have not tested this all through when we're building this. So let's actually test this and see if it's going to work, or if we have to go in and make some changes. So here we go. Okay, it's getting the analysis now to get, the hiring factors and everything. It's going ahead to create the newsletter now. So it is going ahead now to turn it to an HTML content. It's going to get the subject and title now. So my main concern is really going to be the JSON. Okay. So we are seeing that one parameter is missing. So the name is missing. So there was no name that was created. Okay, so here's the problem that we have. So it created new sets of, metrics for us because I was doing subject and, capital subject and small subject, and apparently that doesn't work for it. So we have to run this again. So it's currently still working through here. It's now generating a completion for us. It's now going in to create the HTML for us. And then it's going in right now to generate the title and the subject, and it has gone into create it now. So let's go into our system and see the campaigns that we currently have. You can see here, this is the campaign that it just created for us right now. So you can see that this is in our draft. So what's the title of the campaign? You can see here AI and skills-based hiring. So, and that is what we have here, from experiment to default AI and skill-based hiring. So that means it has created that for us. So now the final step here is going to be to notify someone, the marketing team on Slack, so that they can go and review this. As you can see, it is a draft. So once they are okay with how this looks, they make all the edits, they can go in and actually, send this out. So let us even see what it created. Let's see. Oh, I even picked the wrong thing. So I picked what came from here instead of what came from here. And I didn't even add the newsletter itself here. So yeah. So you see we missed a lot of things from here. Nope, that's not it. So here it is now. So this is the newsletter. So this particular one is going to be creating the newsletter. So let me even rename them just so I don't create newsletter. So I don't mix them up. Create newsletter. And then this particular one, analyze article. So we save this, and this particular one, and this particular one is HTML newsletter. Let me just do HTML newsletter. We save this, and then this last one is going to be newsletter subject and title. So we name this to newsletter title and subject. So now I need to remap all of this to be sure that they are, mapping to the right thing. So here I'm telling you to, so the result here must come from here. So which is this? So this is the part must come from here. So this is create newsletter. And this one right here must come from 5 as well, because I was able to, this one here we are trying to get the newsletter, and then these particular ones will work just fine. So before we run it again to get the system itself to get the right newsletter this time, we are going to add the last step, which is going to be notifying our team, which is going to be notifying our team on Slack. So we are going to use Slack here, but of course you can use any other communication tool that you use. But I just feel like for a lot of organizations and agencies, I just feel like for a lot of recruitment agencies, the most common one is Slack. So we send a message here, and then we enter our channel name. This will be the marketing team's channel. So we go in here and then we tell them newsletter for the week is ready. Please review. So we can save this and we can save this. I don't know why this thing keeps being. Of course, you can send out a better message, and if you even want, you can go in and create a task for the team members so that they can make sure they review it and they check that off. So let's just add it because it doesn't take anything to add. So let's do ClickUp here, and then we create a task. Of course, you can use Notion, you can use Asana, whatever you are currently using in your team. It's the for project management is what you would want to use here. So we'll do the team space here, and then pick our folder, and then we'll pick our list here, and then there is no favorite tax, and the tax here is just going to be review newsletter. And then the content here we don't need to, and then we will assign it to whoever is in charge of reviewing newspaper and newsletter. Whoever is supposed to be in charge of reviewing all our newsletters will do that, and we'll say these are the to do, and then the due dates can be whenever the priority here can be maybe high, and then the start date can be from now when the role is added. We can add due dates if we want to. If you don't want to add due dates, you can just say save this, and then you can save this. So now that we have this, and we also align this, so this is what it's looking like now. So we are just going to go in and run this the last time. It's currently getting us on news, and then it's analyzing, the art. We are analyzing the article here. We can create and we are creating a newsletter in this particular one. Now that we are done, we are going ahead to get our HTML newsletter. We're going into, get our newsletter title here. And okay, so let's go in now and see what we have. Let's refresh this. Okay, so you can see we have this now. If I open this, I can easily just edit this. I can edit this design if I want to, then I can preview this. So here is what it looks like. See how beautiful it is. If you want to make any changes, of course you can change like the company name, everything that you want to change here. You can make all the changes that you want to make, and you can see since it's an HTML, you can make the changes down here. You can make any changes that you want to make in here, and then they can always preview what it looks like. Of course, here look how beautiful this looks. And once we are done with how once we are okay, the whoever is reviewing is okay with what we are doing, we can go in and add our recipients, which is going to be our list that we currently have. You can see all the segments here. We'll go in and create all our list, and of course we want to remove the subject. We can do that, and once we are just okay with how this looks, we can just go ahead. We can even change the sender here. All the things that we basically just want to do, we can just do it here. So now we'll spend a lot less time, between creating newsletters, reviewing them, and sending them out. And with a system like this, we have our team members can create and send newsletters in less than 30 minutes, as opposed to the old way of having to brainstorm ideas, search the web for ideas, actually go in and create the content and the newsletters from there, design the newsletter, and actually send out. That could take a team as much as 3 4 hours to actually get done, but now it can take the team 30 minutes to be done, and they can move on to other things. I really hope you found this useful. If you have any questions, you can let me know in the comments. If you found this useful, give me a like and subscribe to this channel, because I will be dropping more tutorials around automations and setup that recruitment agencies can have to optimize their operations and save them time, cut down their recruiter, cut down every overhead cost, improve recruiter capacity, and be able to build and scale their recruitment agency. I really hope you found this useful. If you know someone that runs a recruitment agency, you might want to send this video to them, because they are going to be so glad that you saved them that 15 hours that they are spending every week doing this in the team manually. I really hope this was very helpful, and I'm going to be seeing you in my next one. And if you run a recruitment agency and you really want to cut down the operational work that is currently going on in your agency, then you might want to schedule a strategy call with me. The link is going to be in the description. And with that being said, I hope you have a wonderful day. I'll see you tomorrow.